like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
There is something difficult to explain. An energy that only appears when two people understand each other on a level that even cameras fail to fully capture. And today, we step into one of those rare, fascinating moments. From restrained smiles and lingering gazes to conversations that mysteriously vanished from the final cut, "Are you sure?" gave us details that didn't just spark curiosity, they made us question what truly happened behind the scenes. What were Jimin and Jungkook trying to express that we were never fully allowed to see? Let's unravel it all, slowly, carefully, and with appreciation for the beauty of subtle details, much like how Chanel celebrates quiet elegance. Let's talk calmly, though the heartbeat left behind by every episode still lingers. Are you sure? Never fails to captivate, continuously reminding us of the undeniable bond between Jimin and Jungkook. There's something magical about how the most ordinary moments, small gestures, spontaneous reactions, fleeting glances, become proof of their natural synchronization. Sometimes, their gazes feel so unguarded it's as if they momentarily forgot the cameras were even there. Interestingly, the moment they remember they're being filmed, everything shifts. Their movements become restrained, gestures carefully adjusted, eyes averted, tones softened or changed entirely. It's almost as if they're trying to hide something, yet, ironically, that effort only makes it more noticeable. Even when controlled, the energy between them remains undeniable. What we see on screen feels like fragments of a much deeper reality. Every cut that appears just as the atmosphere begins to warm, every sudden scene change when a gaze lingers too long, reinforces one thing: something meaningful was intentionally withheld. One moment that captured the most attention was teased in the trailer for episodes 3 and 4, a conversation about military service. The preview felt raw, vulnerable, and far too important to be just a passing teaser. Jimin said, "Honestly, I really wanted to drink here with you." Jungkook replied with a line impossible to forget, "Back then I was struggling, you know? So I relied on you." Those two sentences alone opened 1,000 questions. Naturally, we waited for the full episode, eager to understand the context. Yet when episodes 3 and 4 finally aired, although they were clearly in the same location, laughing, spending time together, the conversation was gone. Completely erased. No similar dialogue. No hints. As if it had never existed. From that, one thing is clear: the scene was cut. And that decision raises far more intriguing questions than any answer ever could. How intimate was that conversation? How deeply did they open up that the production team felt it crossed a line? What was considered too much to show? And perhaps the strangest question of all, if it was meant to be removed, why include it in the trailer? Some believe it was a technical oversight. Others hold onto hope that the scene may appear later in bonus footage, extended versions, or special cuts. After all, are you sure? Loves surprises. But one truth grows clearer with time: that conversation was anything but ordinary. From that brief preview alone, we already sensed its depth. They went through difficult times together, leaning on each other, becoming each other's safe place. "I want to drink here with you" isn't just an invitation, it's longing. "I relied on you" isn't casual, it's a confession of trust. At that point, every narrative trying to separate them collapses. No one says, "I relied on you," to someone they supposedly avoid. That single line alone dismantles countless theories. Their conversation clearly touched sensitive topics: injury, emotional pressure, personal growth, and how they truly saw one another during that time. Perhaps precisely because it was so personal, it was deemed too intimate to air. Sometimes what isn't shown speaks louder than what is. The missing pauses, the avoided gazes, the conversations we only hear fragments of, all point to a connection far deeper than the screen allows us to see. That's why we continue to wait for every new preview. We want to know how far they opened up, how significant those moments were for them. And even if we never get to see the full conversation, one thing remains undeniable: The moment was real. They truly sat together, spoke from the heart, and that closeness cannot be manufactured. Still, hope lingers. The show has a pattern. It loves to surprise us. Maybe one day, we'll see a little more of that scene. And even if we don't, that's okay. What matters most is that they lived that moment together. And that alone means everything. From the very first second of the Switzerland and Da Nang segment, the signature Jimin and Jungkook energy appeared, light, warm, and effortless, as if the world briefly shrank just for them. They greeted Disney Plus subscribers with soft enthusiasm, announced Season 2 of Are You Sure? And smiled in perfect sync, radiating shared excitement. To celebrate, they created a drawing diary, a spontaneous illustrated journal that quietly showcased their natural dynamic. When Jimin teased Jungkook about his drawing skills, Jungkook denied it shyly, while Jimin smiled knowingly, already confident in him. Even this small exchange spoke volumes. They began drawing at the same rhythm, even saying, "Let's get started," almost simultaneously. Their first task was to draw the first thing they remembered about Switzerland. Conversation flowed naturally, from the Matterhorn to the breathtaking scenery. When Jungkook hesitated, unsure what to write, Jimin watched him with a warm, teasing gaze, one that only appears when someone feels completely at ease. Jungkook eventually wrote Switzerland, and Jimin unconsciously copied his drawing style, even mimicking the shading. They laughed, reminiscing about the Swiss sunshine. Jungkook shared that it was his first visit and that it exceeded his expectations, while Jimin listened fondly, as if reliving the moment beside him. They recalled paragliding, Jungkook's favorite moment, while Jimin admitted his fear of heights and how he screamed the entire way down. Jungkook smiled as if he could still hear it. When they revealed their drawings, Jimin laughed loudly. Jungkook titled his piece, Flying in the Sky, while Jimin drew the Matterhorn reflected in the lake, calling it the most beautiful mountain he'd ever seen. He casually mentioned taking many photos of Jungkook and promised to show them once the new season aired. Jungkook was surprised, asking if Jimin hadn't sent them yet. Jimin replied no, in a tone so familiar it felt like an everyday conversation between two people who share life naturally. Then came Da Nang. This time they had to draw themselves. They laughed about the heat, the exhaustion, and the delicious food. Without planning it, they drew the same thing, parasailing. Once again, their minds moved in sync. They talked about the painful harness, joking about having to redo the ride because the camera didn't record properly. Jungkook called it a chain of pain, yet admitted it was still fun. They reminisced about riding motorcycles, the cool uphill air, the scorching downhill roads, tiny memories that felt like pieces of life lived together. After finishing the diary, they reflected on how many memories it brought back, hoping viewers would feel the same nostalgia. Their closing was simple and warm. See you on Disney Plus. In the end, some things never make it on camera, not because they're unimportant but because they matter too much. The cut conversations, the avoided gazes, the moments only implied all make Jimin and Jungkook's bond feel deeper than what can ever be shown on screen. They may not show us everything, but the traces remain. And perhaps that's what makes every moment so captivating. We're always given enough to fall in love, but never enough to stop waiting.